Congratulations, podcast listener. You've chosen wisely and selected Things I Found Online. A delightful blend of humor, relatable accountings, and life-affirming wisdom. Our guest is author, playwright, comedian Steve Bluestein. I'm author and voiceover person Joe Cipriano, here with author, comedian Jamie Elcroft, and gently tossing to a woman who owns several books, Louise Palanker.
True story. Thank you, Joy. I'm in fact reading a wonderful book right now called Memoir of a Nobody by Steve Bluestein. So
Nice.
I called Steve to ask for a clarification regarding chapter 27, and he rushed right over.
Yes.
Please welcome.
I said, what is chapter 27?
They don't have numbers. His book is just all titles.
It's all
Yeah.
It doesn't have numbers?
I don't think it does.
I think you're right. I think I have to talk to the editor.
It doesn't have a table of contents. It has
It does
just
have
kind of a tray of
It
contents.
does have a table of contents.
It has a coffee table.
A coffee
Coffee
table.
table of
If you
contents,
peruse the table of contents, you will be very tempted to go to a topic that pulls you in.
That's
Yes.
right.
So,
Yeah.
And you go directly to that.
And
section.
that's how it was designed.
yes, and
Nice.
it's very
It's
exciting.
perfect.
So you can kind of like poke around and then eventually, a couple years from now, have read the whole book. Or you can read it sequentially, as I'm attempting to do. But in preparation for today's show,
Yes.
I did read ahead a few chapters that were referred to by Amazon reviews, which we're going to get to. So let's start by Googling Steve Bluestein.
Oh, let's take a
He
look.
is on the
Google,
internet.
Google,
he makes
Google.
an appearance.
Oh, let's see.
Ooh, we have to turn on our big
right.
That's called the
wall-mounted
television.
Thank you, Steve. It's good you're here.
That is. What is that? A 16-inch? What is that
Why,
about?
thank you for noticing.
Oh, goodness. The pills are working.
Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, no. Okay, so we can talk amongst
Steve
ourselves. Oh, look, it's
Bluestein.
Steve
There he
Bluestein.
is. Yep.
And he has his own website called stevebluestein.net.
That's because SteveBluestein.com was taken.
Who has it?
Who the hell
Wow.
knows?
Who the heck?
Who would want
Does
it?
he,
Why
does
did
he
they
also have
do
a lot of
that?
your mail?
He actually, they tried to sell to me for 10 grand.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
that
squatted.
happened. That happened to Haley
You
too.
got squad. Oh, my
A guy
God.
from Florida called
Oh, no.
and said, "I have
They
Haley.
grabbed her name.
I have HaleyKyoko.com. What's it worth to you?"
And what did you guys do?
We just ignored
we
it.
hung up.
Yeah.
So what did you,
Take a hike.
What does she have instead?
We went net or something like
Yeah.
that.
She
Net.
has SteveBluestein.com.
She has Bluestein.
Steve Bluestein.
Bluestein.com.
Oh, she's an operator.
Yeah.
All right, so SteveBluestein.net. There's a lot to explore on that website. I went kind of down a few rabbit holes. He's
Yeah.
got some
Yeah.
celebrity friends and some old-timey photographs that are fascinating. Where should they click, Steve? Where do you advise that they click?
For photographs,
Photos?
I would click on photographs.
Okay, gallery or ego wall. Okay.
Oh, that's photographs I've taken.
Oh,
nice.
That's my
photographer.
photography.
We didn't
Right.
mention Steve Bluestein
Ego wall.
photography.
Photographer.
And then if you go to the gallery in under photographs, that's the celebrities. I don't, there.
Oh, here we go.
There's Tess Harper,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
and
Wait a minute. I don't see one picture of me or Louise.
We'll wait until after
we
today.
will.
All
We
right.
will.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
get that.
that's
Yeah.
Elliot Gould,
or
Elliot
Jamie.
Gould.
for
Yeah.
that matter.
and that's Pat Carroll,
Oh, Pat Carroll.
Oh, Pat
yes.
Carroll.
and Phyllis Diller.
Oh, I love Pat Carroll.
And this picture right here on the left is
Yeah.
a very interesting one.
Let's click on
That's
that.
a bunch of comedians
At
in
a-
the '60s. If you see Jay Leno,
Jay Leno.
Wow.
and Tom Dreesen and Johnny Dark,
Just Johnny
and,
Dark. Yeah, I see.
and
Jimmy Alec.
Jimmy Alec,
Jimmy Martinez.
Yeah.
All the Martys
Men-
and Jimmys are right there in one
Men,
photograph.
Captain, the men are revolting. Yeah, and they're ugly too.
Okay, so Steve is a comedian, actor, playwright, and now author who has worked in the highest echelons of the entertainment industry while continuously delighting audiences with his quick wit and rapier.
I didn't rape anybody.
His rapier. Rapier musings. I don't think so.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, rapier musings.
But musings seem like they would go more slowlier than something rapier should be going.
Much slowlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slowlier? Okay.
So your book is called Memoir of a Nobody.
Memoir of a
But
Nobody.
it's
I love
several-
that title, Steve.
It's several,
great
many,
title.
many different chapters, so it's kind of memoirs.
Mm-hmm.
Because we studied the difference between a memoir and an autobiography. And a memoir is one story from your life. And an autobiography is like your whole life.
The collective story.
I don't care.
But we like this title. So can you click on the Amazon link for Memoir of a Nobody? for someone who doesn't care. All right.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Well, it's got your picture on it.
And this book has 61 reviews,
Oh, wow. That is
all
good.
verifiable purchases.
And one review that just says terrible
Oh, great.
Who was
with
that?
1 star.
Do we know who that
Yes,
was?
it's Lindy who is a stalker that I have. I have my own stalker.
Wow.
But wait,
Who writes
but
me
your
poison.
stalker hates you.
My stalker hates me.
Interesting.
And
Oh, my
writes
goodness.
poison pen letters and sends them to my house, and then I post them online
But would she?
just to piss her off.
But would she marry you
Wow.
tomorrow?
I not with a gun to my head would I marry.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
is
but
that what
maybe
she's? What is she?
I have no idea.
What
She
fuels
just,
her?
She just hates me.
Maybe it's a love-hate thing.
No, she just hates me. There it is.
There it is right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Lindy,
What did she write?
Terrible.
Oh,
See,
Lindy, you're
That's the second.
Lindy.
Wait, that's the second review. She wrote another review where she said, "It's the worst political book I've ever read." And I called
That's
Amazon.
actually funny.
I called Amazon and said, "There isn't a political word in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Take the review down," which they did.
Oh.
And then she came back and wrote, "Terrible."
Terrible.
But go
and
back
they
to
wouldn't
that
take
because
that down.
No.
her headline is longer than her review. Her headline is not funny and not interesting at all.
At
At
all.
all.
At all. Just in case you were to clarify.
Get out more, Lindy.
How can anybody not like your book?
Oh,
I
it's
don't
such a good
understand
book.
that. It's
All
so
right.
good.
But I selected a review by E.E. Serrani. Can you guys click on that one?
E.E. Serrani.
And she is a verified purchase.
Oh, I love this review.
And she
Love.
posted pictures of herself that someone else took because she was so disruptive, laughing out loud at your book, that someone from a neighboring table took photographs. And she writes, "Okay, I'm only 55 pages in, and I have been laughing and gasping so hard, I had to say something about it. A lot of comedians are not good storytellers. Bluestein is. OMG, hysterical. I was laughing at my table in the cafe, so the waitress insisted on taking pictures. She told me I was having too much fun. Forget the stress of the day and the news. Buy this book and laugh a little or a lot. A+++.
Then she
Love
got
it.
thrown out of the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Did she? But see, she seems like a great, nice person, and
She's
that's
a wonderful person. I have lots of people on Facebook that have followed me that have become friends that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never met.
and just
yeah.
from them reading the book and feeling like they know you.
Well, because I post a lot, like every 15 minutes.
So we're gonna get. You do post a lot, and Jamie turned me on to your Facebook feed
Yeah.
because there's a lot going on there. It's got intrigue, it's got drama, it's got family feuds.
Oh, yeah.
It's all happening.
The Family Feud. Did you know about the Family Feud?
Yeah, I've read
Oh,
about it.
God.
But,
So let's
but
go
tell-
into first. Tell us a little bit about what people will find in your book and why family may have been coming
all right.
forward.
Okay.
So
And,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I was sitting in my house one day, and the garage door fell on my car. And
That happens.
It happened.
Yeah.
Only to me, though. And I called a carpenter who then got trapped in the garage when he closed the door and he couldn't get out. And so 3 hours later, when we freed him, I found him peeing in a cistern in the garage because he couldn't get out.
it was an antique.
And so it was an antique. At the very same time, Carol Propp, who's a talent producer, she casts the Tonys. She called me because we had worked on a show together. And she says, "What's going on at your house, Steve?" "What's going on, Steve?" And I started telling her, and she was laughing hysterically at what's going on. She says, "You've got to put this in a book." And it's just like a light went on in my head, and I went, "Okay, great." So I sat down that day, and I started writing. I wrote for 3 years. Every day I wrote something, even if it was a shopping list. And it started, started telling about things that were happening every day. And then I started telling about my show business experiences, opening for Donna Summer and Barry Manilow and those people. And then it became like an AA inventory. I started just telling stories of the family stories that I swore I would never share with anyone. But, everyone's dead, so who cares? So I started getting
Wow.
all that out.
Yeah.
So so that's what, and people seem to love the fact that there's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of comedy, there's a little bit of drama, there's a little bit of pathos, and everybody says there's something that they can relate to. One lady said to me, "Were you in my house? Did you hear the conversation?"
Wow.
So it's been really rewarding because I didn't think anybody. I read the book 300 times, and I went, "Yeah, all right," But then people would say, I was laughing. I said, "At what?" And I make them write down what they're laughing at. Because as a comic, you need to know what you're laughing at.
What's
and
funny?
then there are comedy writers who will just write me an email and go, and then I went into the kitchen, and I know what they're referring to because I'm saying that's where they laughed. But on Facebook, I've sort of taken the book to another extreme, and I started telling stories that I've forgotten about, when I was writing the book.
That's cool. So the book continues.
The book continues on Facebook.
Yeah.
And this last story, a cousin took exception to and wrote me publicly on Facebook and said, you just make up stories to sell books.
Yeah.
And I got so furious that I deleted her and blocked her and then sent her an email. And there was a friend in the room, and I was dictating, dictating the email like this.
Right.
And it was like, "You fat pig, what the hell do you know?" And all the time in my mind, I'm thinking, he's going to stop me. He's going to stop me. What did you ever accomplish, and you fat SOB? And didn't stop me. And I kept going. They went, "Send?" and I sent it. And,
Wow.
And then evidently it got her rectum in a twist.
A bit.
And so she got another cousin, someone who married into the family 20 years after I had left, who attacked me too. So he doesn't mean anything to me. So I just deleted him and blocked him.
Yeah.
And opened up a charge account in his name.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do in that case.
So we also have a review from Jack Lukes, and I'll get to your thought in a moment, Jamie. And Jack was...
How'd you know I had a thought?
Because I
could tell
I
that
can
look came
sense.
upon you,
Okay.
when you have a
I
thought.
smell smoke.
And this review from Jack, everyone should read this. If you're thinking of reading the book, read this review. It's a very thoughtful review.
Is that the It Amazes Me review?
But I'm going to read a portion of it so that you understand what Steve's book is like. He wrote it. Oh, do you want to read it, Joe?
Sure.
Okay, here you
It
go.
amazes me that I found the book so riveting because there's no structure to speak of. It's just Bluestein's take on things that happened to him while he was making a real effort to be somebody, namely a stand-up comedian. It's all about the places he went, the people he dealt with, and the lifelong friends he made. Bluestein is a master at taking a simple incident and turning it into a 3-ring fun fest.
Well, I just report what I see. Being a comic, I see things differently. David Brenner, may he rest in peace, said to me once, he was walking down the street and a manhole cover blew up and flew up into the air, and he looked at it and went, "Heads." It's just how he sees, just how he sees the world.
Yeah.
That's how I see the world. So my cousin sends me this horrible thing, and I post it on Facebook. My next book will be, you make up stories to sell books.
Just to sell books, I think it was.
Just to sell books.
Just.
It's the just that really was the
Yeah.
night.
So
Just
what?
is.
Okay.
Like I do nothing else but just make up stories.
The just was unjust.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly who this cousin is.
Oh,
but,
I know exactly who
But
it is.
what was it?
We
The
don't.
post that you wrote about your dad that got her?
Yeah, it was, because it was that side of the family. Yeah. But, I didn't make up this stuff. I saw horrible, terrible things growing up. I saw my father pick up the dining room table and throw it across the room at my mother while I was sitting there with the spoon going, I had cereal.
Oh, man.
I saw my father punch my mother in the face and break her jaw. I mean, I saw terrible things.
Oh, my God.
And it was a horrible childhood. It really was. And they don't want it. They don't want it
in public.
They don't want it in public.
Yeah.
And because they're all small town people. And,
Yeah, but this is your story.
Hello.
Isn't it more your story than their story?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's my story.
Yeah.
And that's what 300 people on Facebook have said. Let her write her story.
Yeah.
this is my story, but don't try to stop me from writing
Exactly.
my reality.
Well, I think there's a little bit of familial jealousy there too. I really do, because
I
they
don't-
see
I never-
you. They see you. You live in Beverly Hills.
I live in
you,
Bel Air.
In Bel Air. Excuse me.
We have his
You live in
listing.
Bel
If you,
Air.
if you
Oh, yeah,
I
we're
take
getting
a
to
look
that
at
later
Oh
in the
yes,
show.
somebody buy that house, would you please?
Yeah, and yeah, and you live in a Hollywood life, and you're famous, and they resent it, so
But
they
it could
they
also-
lash out.
It could also be what Steve was alluding to, which is that what you have to picture is that everyone they're Facebook friends with, they encounter when they walk into town. And so it's like, how does this look if people know these dark secrets about my family?
I think it's even different. I
Yeah.
just think that they're so self-involved with their own little world that they can't see anything outside of it, and they don't think about an artist who has a point of view and an experience that the artist needs to share.
Yeah.
They just want they just want to make matzah brie.
But if you've spent your whole life containing
Gush,
secrets, you don't see the healing power in disclosing them.
Well, that's the thing, is that when I said before that I told stories that I swore I would never tell,
Yeah.
there was such a freeing experience in doing that. There's one in particular where I'd come home from summer camp, and the bus took us to this drop-off point, and I was standing there with my luggage, and all the mothers were coming to pick up their kids, and I watched, and the bus left, the kids left, and I was left alone. My mother forgot to pick me up, and so I walked home about 2 miles, and I opened the front door, and I found my mother and a man on the living room sofa. So I closed the door, and I went into the laundry room where I sat for a couple hours, and because I didn't want to embarrass her.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
Must have been about 11.
Yes.
And she came out into the laundry room and saw me sitting there and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I was just watching the dryer." I mean,
Right.
what do you say?
Changing the channels on the dryer.
Right, changing the settings on the dryer. I think we need a little more rayon in our
And you had been gone for how long?
about a week.
So how would you describe your mother? Who was she?
She was a wonderful person. She was a horrible mother. She was someone who was very civic minded, and the whole world loved her. But when the door closed, it was a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Ma, I have no underwear for school next. Don't you tell me when to do laundry. I'll buy you more laundry. I'll buy you more underwear. So I mean, it was that kind of thing. And she had such a hatred for my father.
Yeah.
And she took it out on me because I
And
was
the man on the couch.
no.
She took it out on him too.
I think he
No,
took
he
it out
took
on
it
that.
out.
He
Hey,
took it out. I was just trying to set you guys up.
Thank you.
I was with a comedy team for 45 years. All I know is setups.
Setups.
I
Let's say
just,
things were taken out.
I just lob you the softballs. That's all I
Thank
can
you.
do.
Yeah. So, but she was. People liked her very much, and I used to think there was something wrong with me because everyone would say, "Oh, your mother.
Your mother's the best.
the
Yeah,
best."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I go, "What?
Really?
Who? Really?"
Yeah.
I just think there was something wrong with me.
Oh my gosh.
Did you have siblings?
No, here's an interesting thing. I'm an only child, and I always thought I always wanted a brother or a sister. But after my parents died, I was so glad that I was an only child, because if I had a sibling, they would have been just as screwed up as the rest of the family, and we would have been fighting over the Tupperware. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way it ended up is I got everything.
You got the Tupperware.
I got the
Yeah,
Tupperware.
Yeah. Wow.
So when you express yourself on Facebook, is most of the feedback positive that you
It's
receive?
all positive. It's the most unbelievable. And when it's not, I delete them.
I love that.
You know why? Because I say it's my wall.
Yeah.
It's my wall.
Get off my wall.
It's my wall. It's my world. I can do
Yes.
whatever I want.
Exactly.
If you don't like it, read somebody else's. There are
Yeah.
no Trump supporters on my wall.
No.
I mean,
I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, that's good editing, you know.
Yeah. And that's another area where I think families have kind of come to impasses because any opinion posted can invite your friends to argue with each other while you're in another room.
Right.
And you come back to Facebook and you want to open it and enjoy it. Instead, it's people yelling at each other.
I have a shrink friend who said, well, when you put yourself out there like that, then you must expect that somebody somewhere is going to take offense to it. Because it really hurt. I mean, after that attack by my cousin, I didn't sleep the entire night.
Really?
My head was just and it wasn't revenge either. It was just
No, it does keep you up, and it kind of like my face gets really hot, and and so I find that I personally chosen not to post anything that's insightful or that.
That's very interesting.
But everyone has a different style of handling it, and like last night I was listening to This American Life, and it's about one of the fathers of Sandy Hook, and they have to deal with all of the Alex Jones conspiracy theories that their children weren't really killed, and this guy has decided to take them on, and so that's a full day.
Rough. Yeah.
And then he's got like 100 volunteers helping him because how do you don't, it's not that easy to change a mind, and anything you type isn't going to do it, generally speaking. So why are we doing what we're doing online?
Well, because it's art.
That's a good answer.
And we're artists. And in the book I say unless you expose something deep, it's not really art. You have to really go deep to find out what's going on so that you can be insightful. And the best thing I've heard from people is, I read your book and it was inspiring. I know that because in the book I said, look, if I can get through what I went through, you can get through what you're going through.
Absolutely. What a gift that is. Yeah. And it's cathartic for you finally to get those stories out.
Right.
You've been holding those back and keeping them in, internalizing.
Here's an interesting story. Jamie, I don't mean to take up all the time.
No, you're the guest.
You're the guest.
Yeah, you're the guest, Steve.
Who knew?
No, I'm just hanging out. I'm just utility.
Oh, great.
I'm a utility
That was
guy.
a good Jack Benny right there.
Who knew? So I said my mother was a big person in a small town. And one of the things she did was she raised a lot of money, millions of dollars for this nursing home in town. And so over 30 years.
Yeah.
So over the years, I would say, Ma, why don't you come out? No, we're opening a new building. Ma, no, I have a dinner. Ma. So I had a lot of resentment against this nursing home. So when my mother decided she was going to permanently stay in Florida, she talked me into going to Boston and emptying her house. One of the joys of being an only child.
Yeah.
But what she didn't tell me was that she had given away all the furniture, shut the gas and the cable. So I was sleeping on a love seat with 5 televisions.
And freezing.
And freezing,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So while I was there, I got a phone call from the president of the nursing home. And he said, I want you to come down. I said, look, there's nothing that you can say to me because I had a resentment against it. He said, no, the car's already on the way. So I said, all right. So he went there. And when I walked into the office, he said, I just want you to know when your mother dies, no one from the nursing home will be at the funeral. And I went, what?
Wow.
He said, what that woman put us through for 30 years.
Wow.
Well, let me tell you how bad it got. He said, what my daughter got married, my wife said, if you invite her, I won't go to the wedding. And it was like such an eye-opener. And then he started, he was venting because he had 30 years and he had read the book. And he said, I know that everything you wrote in that book is true because we experienced it here.
Oh my God.
And he wanted me to know. And so this man changed my life so that when my mother fell and had not an aneurysm, a subdural hematoma, I flew to Florida and I was able to be there for her and forgive her and help her pass over.
Because you thought she was fooling the rest of the world.
Right, exactly. I thought that nobody else knew. I thought that I was wrong and everybody else.
Yeah.
Wow. So validation.
It was some incredible.
That guy spoke up and told you that.
And if you hadn't written that book, he never would have said that to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what my mother said? What did you write a book for? Nobody cares about your
Oh,
life.
man.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that was on Mother's Day.
Yeah, that was on
she-
Mother's Day. Great.
She didn't write that on Facebook, did she?
No, she doesn't
she's
know
not
how
your
to write.
Facebook friend.
No, she's
We
not a
delete
big-
her anyhow.
Is your mom watching this?
My mom is dead.
Okay.
Oh, well, she may be watching.
She may be watching.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
she's
just to
received some
spite you.
enlightenment.
Well,
Just to spite you.
with
she's
me,
watching.
with me, everything is comedy. With me, everything is comedy. So my aunt died on Tuesday, and the following Thursday, my mother died. So I went to the funeral home, and the funeral director said, "Well, this has been a really bad week for you." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what can we do for your mother?" I said, "I'll just have what my cousin had." And he looked at me, and I said, "I think I have a Groupon." So,
That's
so
terrible.
they're buried side by side in crypts. And about 6 months later, he called me up and he said, well, this is what it's going to say in your aunt's. It's going to say her name and her date, and it's going to say mother, grandmother, sister, friend. What would you like your mother's to say? And I said, see other crypt. And there was this silence on the phone. And he said, really? I said, do you have an arrow? And do you have an arrow you can put on the crypt?
Like those little ditto marks.
Yeah, or just what she said.
Yeah, what she said. There's no comedy in funeral homes.
So now, what do you know
No.
about their parents? What were their parents like?
Russian. They're all Russian. I know my grandmother used to tell stories about fleeing Russia, and I thought it was from the Nazis, but it was actually from the Bolshois.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ballet.
The whole company.
The whole company. They
They
were
would come to
leaping,
town.
leaping.
Oh yeah,
Swan Lake with guns. It
They
was awful.
jetate her ass out.
Right out of that.
the twirling was destructive.
So, yeah. So, and she was a tough lady, you know.
Do you think
your
she
grandmother?
was
Excuse me.
Oh,
Your grandmother was a tough
Oh,
lady
yeah.
too.
yeah.
So that's where your mom saw that behavior
Yeah,
pattern,
but there were
and
5
that was
sisters,
acceptable.
and my mother was the only one that was.
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
They were quite a combo, your mom and dad. So I'm wondering, was she reacting to? Was it your father that started all of that, or did they both come in with this?
According to my mother, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
No, the thing I often heard was that my dad came back from the war a different person, and that's all I ever heard. But as an adult, I'd say, but isn't it the spouse's duty to help the person through this period? But instead, my mother went, "You're crazy. You're crazy. I'm not dealing with this."
Mm.
You know. So
Yeah.
So much for in sickness and in health.
yeah. And
But
Yeah.
then you tell the story of how your dad came to you when
Right.
you needed someone.
Yeah, when after my divorce, I called my mother, and I was in the midst of a nervous breakdown, and I said, "Look, I really need you." And she said, "Okay, let me see if I can arrange my meetings, and I'll get back to you."
Oh man.
And she said it just like that.
Yeah.
And then a day later, I got the phone call. "Look, I was talking to Auntie Shirley, her sister, and we decided that it'd be better if you went through this by yourself instead of me coming out there to rescue you." And of course, after a lifetime of that, I went, "Oh, okay, I understand."
Yeah.
And then just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, the phone rang. It was my father, who I had not spoken to in 10 years. And I said to him, and I was about to hang up, and I just said, "What does it matter anymore?" And I opened up to my dad, and we had 18 wonderful years together.
Wow.
He was a completely different person.
Wow.
He had remarried, and he had a family, and he just couldn't give enough.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And when did they get divorced?
When I was 7,
Okay.
1832.
And yeah.
So your dad passed before you wrote the book. He did.
Oh yeah, my dad passed before I wrote the book.
Yeah.
And but I have a play based on the three of us called Rest in Pieces. And my dad came to a staged reading of
Oh
it.
wow.
And I said to him, "What do you think?" And he said, "You had to use my brother Joe's name." I said, "That's what you got from the play?"
He never liked Brother Joe. His brother
he
Joe.
loved his
No, he
brother.
loved his brother Joe. Okay.
I loved his brother Joe.
Yes.
He was a great
We all
uncle.
loved him.
So now in your book, there are oodles of really juicy showbiz stories.
Right.
So do you have any favorites that you would like to recount for us?
Let's see. My favorite, I think, is Frankie Valli and I. We're in Lake Tahoe, and after the show, we got a little stoned, and we went down to the coffee shop, and the coffee shop had menus that were about 3 feet tall. You know?
Yeah.
So you open the menu, and you're in your own.
You're gone.
You're in your own room. And the waitress came over, and she had a hair lip, and she said,
jeez.
"Is there anything I can get you from the moat?"
Oh no!
And I was trying to control myself from laughing, and I looked around the menu, and all I could see was Frankie's menu going like this, and I said, "Could you give us a minute?" And she said, "Oh, sure." That was, and then there was a time I opened in for Juliet Prowse in Sparks, Nevada, and the talent booker for the hotel came down to greet me as I was checking in, and I said, "This is not good." You know, they don't come down to meet the opening act. Something is up.
Oh, something's up.
So he says, "Let me take you up to your room." And I said, "Something's really up." So he comes, "This is your room." And he opened the door, and he said, "Is this okay?" And I said, "Did they take the brooms out so I could sleep here?"
Oh,
It was a room without a window.
Oh,
wow.
jeez.
Without a window. So I would call down to the front desk on days ago. "Hi, it's Steve Bluestein. Is the sun up?" So, but being an only child, you could put me in an airport with 11-hour layover, and I'll just play with the coffee maker, and
Right.
I can entertain myself. So
You can adapt.
it didn't bother me being in that little room.
Wow.
Sorry, I have a little phlegm.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
So did your paths ever connect? You guys both being
All
in
the
the
time.
stand-up
You and
comedy?
Jamie? Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
At the Improv, at the Comedy Store, but not on the road.
But not on the road. And I must admit, in those days, I didn't watch your act. I didn't. I mean, I knew you.
I have to go now.
I knew you. Yeah. But I wouldn't. I would catch little bits of it. You know how you are in the comedy
never
store.
watched
You're
anybody's act.
hanging out. You don't
watch
watch
so much comedy
because
when you're a comedian.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is it because you're doing something else, or you don't want to see
I
other
don't like to compare
comedians'
myself
acts?
It's
Okay.
comparison. The
Yeah.
only time that it's important to watch an act is when you're on the road, and you have to watch the headliner or the opening act and the middle act to make sure they're not doing anything that you're going to do.
Your stuff, yeah.
So you have to even topic, even subject
Call
matter.
it premise
So,
interference.
You know what
Thank you.
somebody-
Is that what that's called?
I just named
Is
it.
there a signal for that? A free signal for premise interference.
Someone
don't know.
said to me, "What's the worst thing that ever happened to you in a comedy condo?" And I said, "Well, it's not just one experience. It's universal. It's when the middle act comes up to you and says, 'I usually headline.'"
So explain the comedy condo for those of
Oh yeah.
playing at
yeah.
home.
Yeah, well, homeless shelter with sheets.
It's where they put you up if you're working a comedy club for a week or so.
And here's
Oh,
the
okay.
interesting
Yeah.
story about.
Right.
Oh, look how yellow I am. The when Mitzi Shore opened the Comedy Store, the first comedy club out of Los Angeles was in La Jolla, and she wasn't sure that the club was going to be successful. So to something her bet, to hedge her bet. Her son was a real estate broker. She bought a condo so that if the club folded, she could then sell the condo and make money. And that's where they put the comedians up in.
I see.
And because of that, since that day, it's always been called the Comedy Condo.
Comedy condo.
Even if it's in the basement of the club owner.
I see. Gotcha.
It's like
right.
green room. We don't
Yeah.
know where that came from.
Yeah, and when you go in there,
Shakespeare, I believe.
Okay.
the first week of the gig,
Yeah.
then you have to, who gets what bedroom.
Oh,
And
it's
because
like Big Brother.
Mac and I were a team,
Right.
do we force out the middle act to sleep on the couch? And I remember Rob Becker had to sleep on the couch once because he was working with a comedy team.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
he was very nice about it.
Yeah.
But then the comedy condos, when you arrived, they usually provide you with a car so you can get back and forth to the club. They don't have to pick you up.
That's
And
not to be nice. That's just because you're less important than the beer.
Yes.
And they want you to take care of yourself. Go ahead.
Totally. And sometimes there's a phone in the comedy condo. However, if a fellow named Mitchell Walters had been there the week before,
They take the
they
phone
took
out.
the phone out. They had taken the phone out, and the car was inoperable or something.
Oh, my
There
God.
Is
would
that
have been-
because he would tear phones out of walls?
No. It's because hello Taiwan.
hello?
Oh,
He would call everybody.
Oh, my God.
And then he would take the car and.
so would you guys leave notes for the next comic?
Yes,
coming
we
along?
would.
Oh, that's funny.
We would actually.
No, I never did.
You never did? Oh,
I
we
never.
did. Yeah, and we had notes left for us, and and it was terrible.
The chicken in the
things like,
refrigerator is
Yeah.
only a week old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Don't
left
eat
some
the
herpes in the bed for you.
try the yogurt.
don't whatever you do, don't use the mayonnaise.
Don't pay attention.
Because that used to be the yogurt.
Yeah.
So one night I was in Houston and Jenny Jones was the opening act.
Oh.
Was the
We-
middle. She was the middle act.
We
She was-
stayed with her too.
Yeah,
a couple times.
And she was a lovely person, really lovely, and we got along absolutely great. I love her to this day. And we did the show. We got in the comedy car, and I looked at her and I said, "Okay, where's the condo?" And she says, "I don't know. I thought you know." I said, "I don't know where the condo is." And so we turned around, and the club is closed.
Oh, shoot.
The lights are out. It's about 2:00 in the morning, and we call Los Angeles Bob Fisher. He was asleep, and so Jenny and I are driving up one street and down one
Oh,
street,
my
and
God.
up one street, and I'm going, "Does that look like it?"
Oh,
no.
jeez.
And then at about 4:00 in the morning, she says, "There it is." And at one point, I got out and tried the key in the door, and it was the wrong house. And
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going to get shot.
Yeah,
I'm
really.
going to be shot." And but we found it. But that was like at the moment, I was so furious that that they had abandoned us.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, it's really funny.
It is funny.
It's really.
Think
I
of-
had
always
no
make-
idea that there was something called a comedy condo and that it happened all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
to you guys,
Ellen,
no matter where you
Ellen
go.
DeGeneres was our opening act. And
Wow.
Several of them.
Mine
I think
too.
Houston and
you would all stay in the
forget
condo.
Birmingham, yeah.
Well, Ellen was my opening act in New Orleans. And
Where she's from.
where she's from.
Yeah.
So she didn't stay at the condo. She stayed at home. But and it's very funny. I don't specifically remember that it was Ellen. I just remember that there was a blonde lesbian that opened the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I'm
Really?
not making a joke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was crazy. 'Cause one time in Houston,
Could have been Jamie.
Carrie Snow.
Were you blonde at the
Carrie
time?
Snow was our
He was
opening
pretty
act.
blonde.
God love.
And
Carrie
we were
Snow.
trying to make a pipe out of inside of a toilet roll, and we didn't have any tinfoil, so we.
Wait, you were fashioning your own bong.
Yes, we called
MacGyver style.
We called room service for
Okay.
tinfoil. And then fella
This was the
showed
comedy
up
bong.
with a
Yeah.
whole roll of tinfoil for us, and
jeez.
it sufficed. It
Yeah.
sufficed. But there were
Wow.
some adventures on the road, to
Oh
be
yeah.
sure.
The worst thing that ever happened to me was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is a great story. It's a long story, but it's a great story. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I had opened. The club had two clubs. One in Utah, and one. So I'd done a week there in the first club, and then I'd gone to the second club, and there were 3 nights in between. And the club owner said to me, "We're doing a benefit for AIDS. Would you do it?" And I said, "Sure." So I get to the club, and the club owner is charging drinks and minimums and not paying us.
Oh,
So-
man.
The middle act got furious and walked out and quit right there. And so they were without a middle act. So the club owner said, "So-and-so's coming with his girlfriend, and they're going to stay with you in your room." I said, "No, they're not." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I don't share my room with strangers." He said, well, they're going to stay there. I said, no, they're not going to stay with me. He said, look, if you don't, this was Thanksgiving Eve.
Oh, my
Jeez.
With 350 people in the room. He says, if you don't allow them, you're fired. I said, fine. And I walked out of the club. About 20 minutes later, I got a phone call at the condo. He wants you out of the condo. I said, where am I going to go? It's 9 o'clock at night.
Night before Thanksgiving.
Night before Thanksgiving. So I call a friend in L.A. and I said, and she says, don't worry. Bill's mother lives in Albuquerque. You'll go there. Okay, now this person has had 3 marriages. The first one was a divorce. The second one, the husband died. And the third one was her present husband. In my mind, when she said Bill's mother, I thought the dead husband. So I think I'm going to the dead husband's mother's house. So I get there and she says, it's so great for you to be here. And Bill talks about you all the time. I went, he does? Yeah, because that's so I'm thinking that I'm there about an hour ago. I know what happened. They didn't tell her that he's dead because she was 89 years old. The father was 90. They haven't told him he's dead. So the whole time she's saying, and Bill just is such, and I went, I know, he's such a nice guy. We all love Bill. Everybody loved Bill. So next day it's Thanksgiving, and Sissy King was her sister from the Lawrence Welk show.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a friend. Sissy was a friend. She still is a friend. And so we're sitting around the dining room table, and said, Sissy looks at me and says, Bill sends his regards. And I look at her and go, what? And then it hits me that I've been talking to these people. I went, oh my God. And I explained to them what's going on. And the mother says, oh, thank God. We thought you were crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
Who was Bill?
What? Yeah.
Who was Bill?
I don't know.
You
He's
don't
dead.
know. He's dead.
It's sad
Bill.
about Bill.
Yeah.
So, Steve,
Yes.
a lot of your adventures in your book revolve around your man's
Penis.
Yeah. Your penis and your home.
Yeah.
But now it turns out, according to the internet, you've put your house up for sale.
Yes.
So if you gentlemen would click on the link,
It's
the
beautiful.
headline is striking.
Gorgeous.
The
Yes.
headline reads, go ahead, Jamie, and read that for us.
Yeah, Jamie.
Stand-up comic and writer Steve Bluestein puts offbeat Bel Air Abode.
Abode.
Oh, I thought it was an Adobe place.
No, it's not.
Oh, darn. Offbeat Bel Air Abode on the market.
So did you ever know that your house
Was offbeat.
would become known as an offbeat Bel Air abode?
No, I didn't. Now, see this picture?
It doesn't,
Beautiful.
it
All right.
doesn't look Adobe to me.
Gorgeous.
See this picture? The house looks absolutely nothing like that now. They made us paint out the gray wall. They made us sell off half the furniture.
Yeah.
It's like an empty room now.
Who's
How
they?
weird.
The real estate broker.
people?
Yeah.
They didn't like the way it was.
The thing that they're telling us is that people don't have the imagination to vision their stuff in your house. So you have to take your crap out.
It has to be
Really?
a blank canvas.
A blank canvas.
Well, that's
exactly
very strange.
It
Because that's
is.
well done. I mean, it's.
I know. And then
It
they
is.
said they want us to put in staging furniture. And I said, I'm not taking out my furniture to put your crappy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But meanwhile,
Were they going to charge you for the staging furniture?
10 grand.
Oh yeah, staging is a whole art.
Oh, my
and
God.
like
Yeah,
there's
but
always
still.
a house is staged if you walk in and there's like a wicker thing in a corner that no one would ever buy.
I know.
Like
But
why is that there?
Let me just tell you, I have two of the best real estate brokers in town. I love them both. We have a great time. The market just sucks right now.
Yeah.
Because we have a president who's a moron, and the interest rates went up, and people are, and he's taken away the tax credit for mortgage insurance.
Yes. Yeah.
So a mortgage, interest.
Yeah.
Interest. He's taken that away. You can only use $10,000. So when you're buying a house for $1.5 million,
Yeah.
you can't deduct. So people, anything below $1 million is selling. Anything like 3 or 4 or 5 million is selling. That area in between, and that's where I am.
Yeah.
but why do you want to move?
I'm retiring. I'm sick of this town.
So where are you?
Oh yeah. Where do you want to go?
I'm going to Palm Springs.
All right.
Oh. Oh, so
Are you gonna buy there?
I have a house there
Yes,
already.
Okay.
I've stayed
go.
there.
That's right.
When my daughter performed at Coachella last year, Steve was kind enough to offer
Fabulous.
us a broom closet.
No,
it was lovely.
took out the brooms,
It was,
though.
There was no
he did
window.
take out the brooms.
that place is
gorgeous.
It's a great place.
Beautiful.
But it's not a place I could retire to. It's just a little too small for me. Like I say, I'm not. This will be my last house, and I'm not going out feet first on 1,300 square feet.
Yeah.
I'm going. I want the big house. And so when we sell this
Sell
one,
this, you'll sell that.
I'll rent that
Oh, nice.
Oh, to us.
to you.
Great.
There
I'll
you
rent
go.
that, and then I'll buy a
Buy
house.
another
But
there.
you like Palm Springs. That's where you want to be.
I'll tell you in a year.
Okay. All right. Good.
I've been there 4 years. I've had the house 4 years. I think I've spent it collectively maybe 2 weeks.
Wow.
There.
In the meantime, are you renting it out?
No,
like
no,
Airbnb
no,
or
no.
I
anything?
think
No?
you're
No.
being
No,
impulsive.
okay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. You have to
Yeah.
spend more time there before you buy a big house there.
No, I don't.
All times of the year.
I don't want to.
And think
Okay.
about Santa. What about Santa Barbara?
Santa Barbara.
Or
Santa
someplace
Barbara.
like that.
Santa Barbara's too far away.
No, Palm Springs is farther.
Palm Springs is
Yeah.
much farther.
Palm Springs is 2 hours. Santa Barbara is how far?
An hour and 15 minutes from here.
Oh,
Really?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
it's,
really
cooler.
lovely.
But if you must remember that most of it has burned down or swept into the
No,
ocean.
I live in
No,
Santa
no, no,
Barbara.
no.
Yeah, but also, isn't
Come
Santa
visit.
Barbara a little more expensive than Palm Springs?
I
Do you
don't
think?
know.
Real
That's a
estate?
good question.
It's very much more.
I would
I
think
think
so.
it
is.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's ask this question of the room.
All right.
Can you
Room?
describe a Facebook spat that you have gotten into and were willing to engage and continue sparring?
Yes, my cousin.
Jamie?
Oh, Steve's are wonderful, by the way. I love it when I see your name on Facebook because I know I'm in for a good read and a laugh or two. It's
But
really
are you
great.
willing to engage on Facebook if somebody comes at you?
I have with a comedian who will remain nameless.
Damn it.
Kippadata.
And no,
Let's just keep naming
Johnny Dark.
Those not quite so ancient. No, not quite so ancient. But
Bill Burr.
and he is just a dyed-in-the-wool Republican Nazi guy. And
I know
and-
who it is. I know who it is.
You know who it
This
is.
is the problem.
And he always lashes out at Michelle. And that's what really makes me mad is he picks on Michelle Obama, calls her a transy.
That's not okay.
just-
I would just block the person.
oh, well, I don't want to. I haven't ever
Give me his name
unfriended
so I can
anybody.
block.
I've never unfriended
I don't
anybody.
unfriend people, but I
Or
will
block.
unfollow them. Like, I don't want to see you here.
Oh, you are wimps, all of you. I just block them.
You block them?
I really
Just
do.
out of my
I
life.
think that Steve's right. I mean, if to get into that kind of crap on, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
why waste the time?
And I should
and
block.
the
I should
effort?
block him. There is another fellow who I've known for years. His son and my son were friends in high school, and that's my only association with him. But we're on Facebook together, battling it out over gun laws and so forth. But he is very intelligent, and I must say that even though he refutes some of the things that
Yeah.
I believe in. I respect his opinion.
Yes, I get that.
So
Okay,
I
sure.
don't want to block him because he has some salient points that he makes, and it enriches me to read that. So it
There you
enriches
go.
me to know thine enemy, so to speak.
Or at
and
least understand their point of view.
Understand their point of view. Yeah, and I have somebody else who always relates everything to a Bible quote. And I always refute that, or I always find a way to help them realize that not all the answers are in this book. There are other answers that are in your heart, in life experience, and all that stuff. And
In your case, somebody else's heart.
if I beg your pardon,
I said, in your case, somebody else's heart.
yeah, that's right.
Steve, that's very good.
I'm being
Steve
blocked.
went there.
Wow. Wow. We've done a show about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
About
Somebody else's heart.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
It's
have.
a song
yeah.
title now.
We
Haley?
have-
Right,
somebody else. Yeah, I've had a change of heart. That would be the name of it. Well, I did write a little bit when I was in the hospital. I may have had a change of heart, but I still love you. Because that's really a country western song.
It
to
is.
mention change
That's
of
true.
heart. In
Yeah.
it.
I wrote a country western song once.
Oh, did you?
Empty hangers in my closet.
Aw.
Empty
Oh,
hangers
that's
in my closet. Empty dressers, empty drawers. I can see my clothes are hanging there, but I sure can't see yours. Empty hangers in my closet are tearing me apart, just like these empty memories are hanging in my heart. I'm a big tall man.
Wow. Well done.
That was awesome.
Somebody's got to
so
do that.
The ending.
Somebody's
You don't see it coming.
Wait, there's
I'm a big tall man.
there's a second verse.
There's more.
Wait, empty hangers in my closet just came home from my old job. Honey, all your clothes are gone, or else I've just been robbed. Empty hangers. Oh, God.
I'm a big tall man.
I'm a big tall man.
All right, let's see. For me, Facebook squabbles, if I post something and then I come back and my friends are arguing with each other, I just ignore I ignore the political stuff because I just don't want to do that to myself, and it's hard enough having our country represented by this brand of evil, in my opinion, and it's so exhausting. And so I just don't want my Facebook experience to kind of add to the weight of what we're worried. People that are Democrats or, libs, we're worried about the end of civilization. We're not having a political discussion with you. We're concerned that you have picked Russia over your fellow country people. That's kind of what's got us down. So if we want to go back to arguing about guns and abortion, I would love that.
Right.
Because you have a valid point of view about all that stuff.
Right.
I just
But,
like my house to sell.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm interested in.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
and favoring big oil over the preservation of our planet.
Of course.
Yeah.
And coal over the preservation of our
coal.
planet. Those are
Coal.
the things
Yeah.
that get
I
to
think-
me.
I think I posted once that Norway was going green, and our president is buying more canaries for the coal mines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to think that
Yeah.
there's no such thing as clean coal. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Of course.
He's an oxymoron.
I was just going to say, and so is the president.
It's more of an
moron.
orangey,
Yeah.
but
That's
Go,
so,
Joe.
so
Do I-
sad.
Facebook squabbles.
It's going to be very short. Do I look? You know me. Do you think that I'm going to be sitting there arguing with people? It's not worth
I
the
think
time.
that, Joe, if someone posted something angry on your Facebook feed, you would write, "Oh, you."
Oh, yes. Oh, there you go again. No, I don't get into squabbles. It's not worth my time.
I live for them.
Yes.
Because
Well, you
that's
know
my
what?
my whole life was a fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a whole-
But it also sounds
absolutely.
like in order to survive your childhood, you kind of just capped it. You were like, I'm going to be in here for a while, as long as it takes to get through this.
Right.
And then once you've survived your childhood, now if somebody wants to come at you, you're just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't enjoy it, but I don't shirk away from it. I don't ask for it, and it gets me very angry when people negate my feelings because I had a whole life of negated feelings.
Okay.
Right.
I in a post I did a couple of weeks ago, I said we all have buttons. One of my buttons is, and
And one of your buttons was.
I don't remember. What was it?
I will. I remember. Is
disappointment.
disappointment.
Disappointment is one. Because my mom would say, "I'll pick you up at 6 and show up at 9," or she'd say, "I'm coming to California and then cancel," or in 35 years never came to a single show, not
Amazing.
one, not one show, because
No.
I just don't find him funny.
Are you
Oh
serious?
my
Yes.
God!
Outrageous.
Yeah, it is outrageous.
Yeah.
So, so my button is disappointment. So,
Yeah.
but that goes. I mean, that goes to like if if you say my laundry will be ready on Thursday, and you go to the dry cleaners and it's not, the top of my head blows off.
Yeah, right.
But I'm working on that.
Yeah. Now, speaking of working on that, when you wrote this book, it was cathartic at the time. Do you find that since you got that out, that you're a little better with your own healing process?
question.
Much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm so much better. And my second book is called "Take My Prostate, Please."
Please.
And that chronicles my surgery for prostate cancer. And I sent it to my agent, and she wrote me back, and she said, "Only you could make cancer funny." And I thought that was sweet. And so we found a publisher, and they'll be out in about a year. And
Fantastic.
and then there's Memoirs of a Nobody 2.
Great.
Yeah, more stories.
Wow.
Probably cultivated from all of your Facebook posts and saving all of that. No?
Actually, when I sat down for 3 years to write, I had 600 pages, and my agent said, "No one's going to read 600 pages of you."
So there was a lot of editing.
So we cut it in half, and this is the second half.
Yeah.
So let's
that's
go
great.
to Facebook Feed Time, which is a post from our own Steve Bluestein. And this was one you referred to earlier in the show. Do you want to read that, Steve?
It says, "You make up stories to sell books," is going to be my title of my next book. That's what my cousin accused me of, making up stories to sell books.
Yeah.
Now, this cousin, is she close to your age?
She is my age.
So you guys grew up together in the same town?
No, she lived far away. And, you got to remember, she was on the side of the family that I felt was the enemy because of what my mother had told me. So I was never really close with her, although I have tried over the years to mend fences. And I thought I had until this last week, where I came with a bulldozer and ripped that whatever fence I had built down.
So that's the letter you dictated, and hoping your friend would stop you, and nobody interfered.
Right, nobody interfered, and
Off it went.
One of the last things is, don't you ever contact me again. There is nothing that you have to say that I'd be interested in hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you heard from her?
She posted one more time, and I privately, and then I cut and pasted it and put it on my page, and 200 people went, "What an asshole!"
Yeah.
Okay, one
We did.
mystery you
We
can
did.
solve for me is, as I was reading through your Facebook feed, you said, "I wish Mary were here."
Mary,
Mhm.
I'm gonna cry.
Mary.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Mary, Fred Willard's wife,
Oh,
is
Mary.
Mary Willard.
Okay.
And she suddenly passed away last July. And Mary was my writing partner and one of the dearest friends I had in Los Angeles. I have many dear friends, Lynn and John, and Lynn and Tom, and Wendy and Michael, and I have lots of dear friends. But Mary is from Boston, and I'm from Boston.
Yeah.
And we would call each other when we'd make a slip with the Boston accent. And then one time she called me from Logan Airport, and she says, "You got to hear what I just heard." I said, "What did you hear?" She said, "Two people are fighting." One said, "I didn't say you were an asshole. I said your father was an asshole." And Mary and Fred have had a Christmas party for 48 years. I've been to every single one, with the exception of one when I got the flu and I couldn't make it. And it's not like a party. It's like a family of friends that get together. And Mary has catered food and entertainment, and Joanne Worley will come in, and she'll have her coat on, and she'll come in from the patio, and she says, "Oh, Fred, I was just in the neighborhood and I heard the noise. And, do you mind if I come in and sing?" And she's wonderful. Every year she'd sing a different song, a little ditty, and then Mary would fly in a guy from Chicago who plays the piano, and it was not only Christmas though; it was St. Patrick's Day, and Easter, and Halloween, and 4th of July. And in the 4th of July, she had fireworks, and they had a big tennis court. And Mary said, "There's always a parade on the 4th of July, so we're going to have a parade." And everybody would have to march around, and she'd have props and carts, and it was
Wow.
And she passed away suddenly, and it was such a shock to everyone. that 300 people showed up at the funeral, and there was when I walked in, a woman came over to me and threw her arms around me and didn't say a word. We just held me, and the two of us just cried into each other's arms because we didn't have to say anything. We knew what and so if Mary was alive when I got that email, I know what Mary would have said to me, and I wrote that on Facebook.
Okay.
Can I say it?
Yes, please.
Fuck them.
I think that's a good way to end the show.
It is a good way to end the show. That's awesome.
I want to thank you,
Thank
Steve Bluestein, for sharing
Yes.
your stories and yourself with us
Oh, it's my
in this
pleasure.
episode. You can find the book. It's called Memoir of a Nobody.
Available on Amazon.com, Nook, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and for enough money, I'll come to the house and read it to you.
By the way,
Which
you
is why
should
he's
do
here.
an audiobook
Yeah, sure.
version of it. That would be awesome.
I'm dyslexic. It would take me forever. I'd be saying, and then I did it myself.
Well, I'm dyslexic, so it's just the opposite.
I look forward to hearing it. I want to thank Devin and Lane, Joe Cipriano, Jamie Elcroft, Dina Friedman, and Steve Bluestein. I am
Steve.
Louise Palenker, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Okay, bye-bye.